In a quiet fjord at the edge of the Arctic, stone walls sit half buried in grass, like the bones of a house the world forgot. No smoke rises from the hearths. No voices echo from the valley. Only the wind and the long, cold question. Where did the people go? In the mid-1300s, a man sails into Greenland, carrying a message from faraway Europe. His job is simple. Reach the western settlement and find out why its taxes and its letters have stopped arriving. But the sea doesn't like visitors. Ice floats like broken glass. Fog swallows landmarks. And the coastline looks the same for miles gray, jagged, and unforgiving. Then he finally reaches the fjords. There's no welcoming party, no church bell, no smoke. Only animals wandering where people once lived, half wild and confused, like they've been waiting for someone who never came back. He steps inside a collapsed home, and in that moment, he understands something terrifying. A whole community can disappear without leaving a single clear answer. Welcome back. In this episode, we are following one of history's strangest endings, the story of the Norse settlers who built farms and churches on Greenland's frozen coast, survived for centuries, and then slipped out of the record like a candle going dark. This is not just a tale of exploration. It's a story about climate, isolation, identity, and the price of living at the edge of the possible. To understand Greenland, you have to start with Iceland, because Iceland was the stepping stone. A volcanic island in the North Atlantic that, for a long time, had no towns. No kings, only seabirds, cold winds, and empty land. Then ships arrived from Norway families, rivals, dreamers, and troublemakers. The new settlers built farms fast. Too fast. Within a few generations, the best land was claimed, feuds multiplied, and ambition began to look westward toward rumors of coasts seen through mist. And that's where one man enters the story. Not a saint, not a hero, but a survivor with a dangerous talent for reinvention. Erik, later remembered as Erik the Red, wasn't pushed into exploration by curiosity alone. He was pushed by consequences. A violent dispute, a killing, and then the sentence that changed everything. Exile. If you can't stay in Norway, and you can't stay in Iceland, there's only one direction left for a sailor who refuses to surrender. West. He crosses a sea that can crush ships like toys and swallow men without witnesses. And somehow, against all odds, he finds a coastline with a few green valleys tucked between rock and ice. Not paradise. Not even safe, but possible. Then Erik makes a decision that feels almost modern. He sells the dream. He gives the land a name that sounds like opportunity. A name that turns fear into curiosity. Greenland. Because a good name can do what reality can't. Make people step onto a ship. For a time, it works. 2 settlements take shape along Greenland's southwest coast, clusters of farms, connected by boat and seasonal travel. They raise cattle and sheep. They stack turf walls thick enough to fight the wind. They build churches that look out of place under the northern lights like Europe, stitched onto the Arctic. But there's a hidden truth beneath the success. Greenland is not a normal colony. It's an outpost that survives only when everything goes right. Short summers, fragile soil, little timber, and an ocean crossing that can erase an entire fleet. So how did they endure? Because Greenland had something Europe wanted. Walrus ivory. In medieval Europe, ivory wasn't just luxury. It was status, faith, and authority, carved into objects people would treasure for generations. And Greenland sat near hunting grounds that could feed an entire export economy. The settlers turned the Arctic into a marketplace. They hunted, they processed, they shipped, and the colony grew richer, while becoming more dependent. Because Greenland could trade for iron, timber, tools, grain, things it couldn't reliably produce. The lifeline was the sea route back to Europe. And lifelines have a weakness. If they snap, everything changes. The Norse were not alone in Greenland. Other people lived in the north, adapted to ice and darkness in ways the newcomers couldn't match. Hunters who knew how to travel light, read the sea, and turn seals into warmth, food, and shelter. Contact between the two worlds wasn't one simple story. Sometimes it looks like fear, sometimes violence, sometimes trade. Norse metal shows up far from Norse farms, and Inuit knowledge becomes the difference between surviving winter or not surviving at all. But coexistence is fragile when resources are scarce and the climate begins to shift. When the Greenland colony began, the North Atlantic was relatively speaking less hostile. Milder seasons made grazing possible. Sea ice stayed back long enough for ships to land. Then the pattern changes. Colder summers shorten the growing season. Storms become more frequent. Sea ice chokes fjords at the wrong time of year like a locked door. The colony faces a question it can't avoid. Do we stay the people we were, or become the people this land requires? Some adaptation happens: more hunting, more reliance on the sea. But adaptation has limits when your society is built around farms, status, and European identity. And then the outside world far away begins to fail them. The route to Greenland depended on ships, crews, ports, and trade. But Europe is hit by catastrophe. Disease tears through populations. Ports struggle. Skilled labor disappears. Priorities shift. And even without one single final blow, the effect is the same. Fewer voyages, less iron, less grain, less news. Greenland becomes a place that waits and waits and waits. Tools get reused until they're barely tools. Repairs become improvisation. Hunting trips stretch farther into dangerous waters because closer supplies are gone. And then one day, a messenger sails west to demand overdue taxes and finds only ruins. So what ended the Greenland Norse? Theory 1. Slow starvation. A community stretched thinner every year until winter finally wins. Theory 2. Conflict. A raid, a revenge cycle, a tragedy that doesn't survive in written records. Theory 3. Departure, not death escape. Some farms appear abandoned neatly, valuables removed, doors closed. Not everyone would have left at once, but some may have drifted away, one boat at a time toward Iceland or toward the western lands across the sea. And if a few families did reach North America, they may have vanished into history, the way history often ends. Not with a battle, but with blending, forgetting, and silence. The Greenland colony wasn't destroyed in one clean moment. It was worn down by weather, distance, economics, and the quiet cruelty of isolation. And maybe that's the most unsettling kind of collapse, when nobody is left to write the last page. Only turf walls sinking into the earth. Only stone foundations filling with grass. Only a coastline that keeps its secrets. Because at the edge of the world, history doesn't always end loudly. Sometimes it just stops. Like, subscribe, and press the bell icon for more.